Hey everyone, and welcome back to the CXG podcast. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Games of War. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. Much better now.
All right, good to hear. So today we are also joined by a special guest, Mr. Pete Dorr. How you doing today, Pete?
I am doing swell.
So today, with the recent announcement of the PS4, wanted to talk about what are your impressions on it. So, what did you guys think?
Pete, lead the way.
Where the fuck is my last guardian? That's what I want to know right now.
Exactly.
No, I mean it doesn't bother me too much. I kind of half expected it. I was holding out my hope. I was like making pictures on Facebook, like February 20th, believe, I had my hopes up, but all I know is actually today I think they just confirmed that um they apologize for not showing it and they want to show it when the time is right. So whether that means E3, most likely,
Yeah.
but it's still coming. So I mean, the game is going to come out probably, hopefully, as close to perfect as possible. So they can take as long as they need with that game.
Yeah. There have been a few announcements. I've seen mumblings on various websites where Ueda has said, it's still my baby. I'm still watching over it closely. So that's definitely reassuring because for a while there, it just went kind of dark over the whole Last Guardian.
Well, I know that he's working on it as like a consultant now, which is actually, you'd think about that as like, oh, he's overseeing it and stuff. But in Japan, when people get this title of like consultant or whatever, it usually means almost nothing. And like, I don't want to like scare you, Pete, but like, usually like, when people say like they're like overseeing the production or whatever, they're like a producer or whatever, it usually has almost no meaning to the point where like they're just like people ask them questions every once in a while and then they just do their own thing. Like for example, like with Dark Souls 2, they changed the who is in charge of the game. It's a new guy, but the old guy is in like a kind of consulting role. But if you read the interviews with him talking about it, it seems like he has very little actual say in what's going on. So if it's that same kind of thing, I'd probably be a little wary of like exactly what's going to happen with it.
Oh
I mean,
no.
I have faith in the development team, even though they brought in I forget who they brought in, but they brought in like some other entirely different development team to help work on this game. I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit skeptic at times in terms of like, is it actually going to be any good? Like, why have they not shown anything? Is it because it went on to development for the PS4 and they didn't want to show that? Maybe it's using the touch panel on the PS4 controller in some way that they can't really show the game um, on the PS3 because it has to use that touch screen, and that's why they haven't shown it up until, well, not at all. Like the past, I don't know. When was the last time we gameplay from like what, a year and a half ago or something? I think it is now.
Yeah, and there was little teasers and a few things on the Eco Shadow Blu-ray, the HD
You know,
upgrade.
the thing that had me really going too was, I don't know if you guys watched those little teaser videos that Sony posted online prior to their meeting the other day, where they were mentioning certain games like history of PlayStation, and Eco got mentioned like twice in two different videos, and Shadow of the Colossus like once or twice. So I'm like, oh shit. They mentioned like two games. They said like Journey and or no, they said like Eco and some other PS2 game, and I'm like, wow, of all the PS2 games they could have mentioned, they chose Eco. So I don't know. It just got my hopes up, but it's still coming. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, we know it'll be out before November. If that's like it has to be. To be honest, man, I really hope it's on the PS3. I mean, they pumped out two games for the PS2, and this game started off on the PS3. I think it would be, for some reason, I just think it'd be more of a mess to try to put it over to the new system. And I just want it to stay in the PS3. I want it to be done and done properly and quality, and I just hope it stays in the PS3 and it comes out before November. I would think they would want to get it out before November, before the PS4 launches. I would hope,
Of all
you
games,
know.
I don't think The Last Guardian will be one of these games, but it seems like a lot of PS3 games are getting the PS3, PS4 treatment, where it's going to be launched on
Yeah.
both consoles, like Watch Dogs and um,
Destiny.
yeah, Destiny. Yeah, a lot of games that. were originally supposed to be just for. Well, they never really said, but Last Guardian might get that treatment as well.
Man, it's sad news, scary news. But overall, okay, in terms of the actual announcements, what were your guys' overall opinions?
Well, let's see. For the system itself, it looks like it's going to be really powerful, and I say that because it does have a good architecture to it. The things they showed, most of them looked pretty good in the sense that like the draw distances were great, and like the Killzone character models looked like PlayStation 3 character models, but there was lots of like cool effects going on, and the environments looked really nice. So, I think the system itself is going to be really cool.
The thing that really impressed me about that Killzone demo, I mean, at first I was kind of like, all right, this looks good, but it looks like something that I could just play on the PS3. The only point in that demo where it sort of took me like, wow, this could only be done on a next generation console is at the end where they're sort of flying through the city. And when you realize that that was being done in real time because the guy was actually able to look around and aim,
Yeah.
that sequence looked like it would be a pre-rendered scene on this generation consoles, but you were actually able to move around and shoot everything. I mean, it just looked amazing, that one scene.
Well, the thing I'm actually a little skeptical about whether he was actually controlling that, because the whole thing, like, it didn't seem like it was actual gameplay. There was like a lot of weird like scripted events that seemed to happen. So like it seemed less like he was actually playing and more like he was just pantomiming with a controller. Maybe I'm just being skeptical.
Do you mean like the whole? Do you mean by like you didn't believe the whole video was gameplay at all? That you thought it was like all fabricated, sort of like the original Killzone 3 trailer? You mean?
Yeah, I mean, they showed him like playing with the controller and everything, but I think like he wasn't is my thing. I think it was just like it was pre-recorded and he was. I mean, I'm not saying it's pre-rendered. Maybe it is like an actual gameplay, but I don't think he was actually playing it because there was too many like scripted events happening, like where he could just say what was happening or something, right without like any type of hesitation.
To be honest, like I didn't even see the guy playing with the controller. Which you brought up a good point because if he was really playing, they probably would have been doing some sort of every once in a while picture in picture of his hands on the controller so you can see the one for one actions on screen, which they never showed. Keep in mind though, if this thing is actually coming out before Christmas, they're pretty damn close, and I mean, I would hope that they'd have some kind of playable games by now. So, I mean, a lot of the other games they showed were definitely not real time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they were real time. I mean, I'm not saying it's definitely not real time. I'm just saying like it seems like the things that happened in what they were showing seemed like way too convenient for real time. And I'm not saying, and I think like it's just maybe it's just a scripted video of real time play. That's possible. I'm not saying that they don't have a game yet. I'm just thinking like what they showed might not be exactly like what we're gonna get. And the Killzone especially has a history of that. So
Oh yeah. I was skeptic the whole time I was watching that because all I was remembering back to was that Killzone 3 trailer from E3 back in the day. I'm like, they better not pull
You
that
know,
shit again.
you know what looked awesome was the drivers club looked sweet. Infamous, a new Infamous is great. But that game was it called Knack? Was it
Yeah,
Knack?
I found that really interesting. That was the
Yeah,
first game they
awesome.
showed. And what really
Yeah.
struck me about that game, now I'll say one thing. The first time I watched the press meeting, um, my feelings were kind of mixed. Well, it was a little hard for me to watch it the first time because I was doing it live and there was some audio issues because I was just watching it live with Jason and Gamester, so I had some trouble. So I watched it a second time actually last night, the whole thing over again. And Knack, like, because the first time I watched it, I couldn't really watch Knack in full. This game looks like a PlayStation 1 era like action platformer
Exactly.
brought to the next
Exactly.
generation. There hasn't been any besides like
Exactly.
Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter. Like I just got such a Crash Bandicoot-esque feel from this game, or Ape
S-
Escape kind of.
Totally original. It almost reminds me of something like that Xbox did or Microsoft did is coming out with something like Cameo. It kind of reminds me of something like that where it's a next gen game, but it's got personality and it's got charm. Like that little character, how he can, like, he looks all cute and small and innocent, and he can blow up and get huge and like totally kick ass, and it just looks like a breath of fresh air amongst the shooters and the drivers and I cannot wait for. I love games like that, and it looks just excuse me, very charming, and it looks like it's a nice original title, and a lot of options with a little transmorphing little guy like that could be your little pet at one point, and then a big huge force to be reckoned with at another. Really really charming stuff, and I'm really looking forward to that one. Some nice originality.
What it reminded me of was like a Pixar movie or
Yeah.
something. The same kind of feel to it. Like the characters had that kind of Pixarish look to them, and the Knack himself was like that, like a cute little robot thing. When I saw that, I thought, oh, Josh is gonna really like this. I think.
Yeah, and then to see it running on the Vita, like the cross play, which is freaking awesome. And I'm really excited that the Vita is going to be playing into the PS4 so much. That's a great feature with that too. And let's not forget the instant downloads. When you download a game, you can start playing it right away, and it'll download in the background. The social features really look to be taken to the next level as well with the PlayStation 4. And then throwing in that camera with the touchpad and the controller. I was like sitting there in a pile of my own drool the whole time. I'm not a negative person. I mean, I see stuff like that, I just start thinking Christmas, new console, Christmas, new console, and I start getting myself psyched up for it, and I can't wait. Day one, no doubt about it for me.
Man, you're way more excited
Yeah.
about some of those things than I am. Uh,
It's been 7 years, dude. I want a new console. I want.
dude, the Wii U came out already. I don't see you buying that.
As cynical as I don't want to be cynical, but like Wii U, I still don't consider that next generation. Like next
No,
generation to
it's
me, true next generation is when like the PS4 and 360 come out. Nothing against Nintendo and the Wii and all that stuff. They innovate on gameplay levels, but like I wanna see high quality PC graphics on my consoles, and that's what
yeah.
PS4 will be giving us.
Yeah, no, I'm tending to agree with you. I'm just kind of ribbing Josh a little because I know he's he's like always saying like I want to get the consoles at launch, and he still doesn't have a Wii U. So
No, see, okay, Nintendo's gonna do their thing. They are. But to be honest, to launch a brand new system, with seeing visuals and gameplay experiences that I've seen for the past 6 years. Granted, they have a tablet controller, and that's I guess cool. It's cool, but it didn't wow me with anything. I'm not going to be wowed with the graphics, and this is a fresh new experience with new physics, new visuals, new gameplay, and I'm just totally excited, man. That I think it's going to be a graphical powerhouse. I've seen a couple of pricing point rumors that have been leaked out, and they're supposedly offering a $429 model and a $540 model, I believe. So it looks like there's going to be two configurations. I'm not sure what size hard drives, but I'm assuming the higher priced one's going to include that new camera system or whatever right out of the box. And I that's just speculation at this point, but I saw that an industry insider leaked those two price points.
Wait, what was the first price point?
It was 429, a
Mm.
$429 model and a 500 and I think $540 model, or it could be a $580 model. I'm not sure, but
I've heard like
it's
all
on here.
different rumors. Like they might take a subscription style where you can get like the PS4 for 350, but then you have to like sign a 2-year contract with whatever online service, or you can just spend 550 for, you know, the other version or something. I don't know. There's all different rumors going around. I think it's going to
Yeah,
be like around 500.
yeah, I think they're going to be smart and not go the route of the PS3, which was 600. But it seems like they've listened to a lot of the. I mean, it seems the system is going to be very developer friendly, which is something the PS3 wasn't. They went to these developers and asked them what they wanted. They asked how, they took their feedback seriously, and they've designed a very powerful but yet an easy to develop for system, which is already better than what the PS3 did with the cell. We're gonna be able to continue to watch our Blu-ray movies. Their online looks really stepped it up. I mean, the whole you can record and stream directly from your console and upload it to your social network of choice. Lots of cool innovations there because we all know how big streaming has become. And
The only thing I'm worried about is Facebook and YouTube and everything just getting flooded with like, hey, check out my 30-second video of me beating this guy in Knack or Killzone. Like,
yeah,
that's the only thing I'm worried about.
it's gonna happen. It'll happen. You know.
The coolest feature to me is the live streaming thing because I kind of predicted and I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you can like right before the stream went live, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you can just watch what your friends were playing in real time instead of just seeing the name of the game they're playing? And lo and behold, there it was. That's actually the feature
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the most. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like, I don't know if they're going to have to set up an event where it's like, okay, I will be streaming at this time, come check it out, or no matter what, as long as they have the feature enabled, if they're playing a game, you can kind of like spy on them. That's how it was with OnLive actually. When I played OnLive, it was actually really cool. You can just choose like random people and just essentially spy on them and watch them play. Like it would let them know when someone was watching, and you can sort of give them like a thumbs up, like yeah, way to go, stuff like that, or bad, or like thumbs up and thumbs down while you're watching them play. But it was just a really cool aspect to OnLive. Unfortunately, that failed miserably. But if Sony can take that aspect and put it into the PS4, I'm on board.
Man, I was not excited about any of that social stuff. Like, I'm, usually when I play games, I'm just like playing by myself. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want people messaging me. I don't want to see, well, I don't want people thumbing up my gameplay. I just want to sit back and not worry about that kind of stuff. Like, man, and especially on the PlayStation because, currently on the PlayStation, like, my friends list is like 5 people or something. It's like so small. It's the kind of thing where like I just can't see myself getting into any of the social features, especially like with the sharing. I had the same thing where I'm just worried that like everything is going to be flooded with like 12-year-old kids running around in circles in Call of Duty or something. That's all it's going to be.
They have to limit it, and so like there has to be something because I don't even think the developers or the publishers would want, say, someone taking gameplay of their entire game and just uploading it to YouTube. There has to be some kind of, maybe it's not going to go to YouTube. Maybe it's going to go to some PlayStation website or some sort of encrypted videos that are, Sony's own that they can control or something. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, and I'm sure, Joe, that if you don't want to partake in that stuff, I'm sure they're not going to force you to. You know what I mean? It's not going to get in the way of your single player experiences. I know that for sure, because there's a lot of people out there that are like that. You know what I mean? They just want to play their games and they don't want to be interrupted. And let's not forget, all these horrible rumors about the PS4 not being able to play used games and constantly requiring an internet connection. None of that stuff turned out to be true.
Yeah, I
So
was just gonna say, I think they confirmed that. Not true.
yeah, there's reason to be excited there. And I've seen a lot of I've seen reactions and a lot of it's been positive, but I've seen a lot of negative people and I don't know what these people expect, man. This is a new PlayStation. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be easy to develop for. It's going to have everything you want in a new system. It's got a redesigned controller which looks awesome. What's there to be disappointed in or not happy with? I mean,
The people that are upset are just upset that the games they wanted to see were just not there.
yeah.
I mean, they showed off what they had. They couldn't show off everything that's out there. I mean, look at all the developers that they have working for them, and look at what they showed off. It's just most of it was stuff we've heard of before, like Watch Dogs, and even though they showed off Destiny in the past, I mean, people still kind of knew about Destiny.
Yeah.
In terms of big reveals, there weren't too many. They mainly showed what the PlayStation 4 is capable of, like, for example, Deep Down from Capcom, or should we say Dragon's Dogma 2.
That's what I thought it was when I saw the trailer. I was like, is this Dragon's Dogma 2 already?
I mean, that wasn't real gameplay. It was sort of like, they put the little HUD in the bottom left to kind of make it like, this is the future. That's just them saying this is what it could be like. But just seeing that technology, like, just imagine 3 or 4 years from now when you can play an RPG that looks just like that in real time. I mean, That's the
Ugh.
stuff you got to look forward to. Maybe not even 3 or 4 years. I mean, maybe only a year or two.
Yeah, I think the goal of them for that night was to basically say, hey, this is what we got. It's coming this year. I think E3 is when we're going to see some really big reveals and surprises. But as an overall event, just getting the word out there that the PlayStation 4 is real, this is what it can do, and it's coming soon. I think it was a huge success for sure. And Microsoft has really got to bring their A game because I think the PlayStation, I think they're going for the jugular this time, man. I think they're really took their criticisms. I think they knew what they did wrong and they're coming for it, man.
The funny thing is just imagine being in Microsoft's shoes right now. They're on one side of the fence or the other. It's either, oh shit, we're in trouble, or oh, this is gonna be real easy to one up that. It's like, or maybe they're on par with the PS4. I mean, it's gonna be
Yeah,
really interesting to see what they can show.
I think like a lot of
definitely.
the things with this is that a lot of the reason for people being disappointed. I mean, a lot of the reason where I'm not like super hyped, and I'm not like disappointed in the PS4 reveal. Overall, I think like the system itself looks like it's going to be awesome, but with the stuff they showed, they showed like not really anything that makes me specifically want to buy the PS4. And I mean, it makes me excited for the next generation. But for example, they showed like Infamous and Killzone and Knack, and that's about it for stuff that we know is only going to be on the PS4. Like all the other stuff they showed, like Deep Down and Watch Dogs and Destiny, we know that's going to be on the next Microsoft console too. So it's the kind of thing where like, okay, those look awesome, and the next generation will be awesome, but does this make me want to buy a PS4? Not especially.
I
Especially for
was
RPG
super,
fans. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, just real quick, I just want to throw out there the Quantic Dream demonstration for the old man face, dude. Oh my God. If that kind of technology is used in their next game, man, it's like photorealism, real life shit right
Yeah,
there, man. And
that was one of the most
that,
impressive things they showed off there.
oh, I couldn't believe it, man. I could not believe it. Go ahead, Pete, whatever you were saying.
I was going to say,
Just wanted
especially
to
for
get,
RPG fans on the PlayStation 4 next generation, because if you look in the past, like, let's say for the Persona series, for example, at least in America here, when a lot of RPGs like that tend to stay on the previous generations for quite some time before making the jump to the next generation. Like Persona
yeah.
5, that's probably going to be a PS3 game.
Yeah, I think
Hmm.
Anything released by any sort of RPG company in general is going to be on the PS3 or Xbox 360
Yeah,
for a
definitely.
while.
Definitely, because the 360, if you remember back, when in its early years, that came out swinging with RPGs. They had a deal with Mistwalker, where we got Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, then we got Infinite Undiscovery, we got Last Remnant, we got Magna Carta 2, and it seems like even, Tales of Vesperia, but it seems like those came out and didn't do the big numbers that they thought, that Microsoft thought, so they just totally dropped support of that shit. That was like, okay, that's it. And but the PlayStation 3, on the other hand, Nino Kuni and some of these other games, the new Tales of Exilia game, which I'm really hyped for, it seems like they're continuing on. Valkyria Chronicles, that
Time and
JRPGs definitely have a
Eternity.
home.
Time and Eternity just announced for localization. Thank you,
Yep,
NIS.
yep, yep.
they also announced God and Fate Paradox.
Yeah, that ZHP Losing Ranger sequel or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which admittedly I wasn't a big fan of that game on the PSP, but I will give this sequel a try.
I'll put up a review of it eventually. I have it. I just haven't started playing it yet.
Yeah. So overall, I think it was a great thing, and I'm genuinely excited.
I just still
Definitely.
can't believe it's coming this year. I mean, that just seems I still can't believe it, to be honest. Like, it just seems so soon and so sudden. I want
I
to know
think
how much it is. I want to start saving the money.
yeah,
Or
they want to be
pre-order it.
first.
When the
They want to
pre-orders
be
go
first.
up, you got to jump on that shit.
Definitely, they definitely want to be first out of the gate, dude. I think they think they have to beat Microsoft to the punch. Because that year's head start for the 360, pretty much that combined with the PS3 launching at 600, it didn't do well for Sony, and I think they want to be first out this time.
I don't want the new Xbox to come out this year. New PS4 and new 360 launching at the same time. That's just, as much as that would be awesome, that's just overkill for me. Like, I just That's too much money. That's too
Do you guys
much.
It brings us back to the Xbox and the GameCube.
Yep. I
Yeah.
chose the GameCube over the Xbox originally. I didn't get the
Now,
Xbox right away. I got it a few months after.
do you guys think that Microsoft is going to target this holiday for a new console, or what do you think? What are your predictions? What do you think they'll do?
They don't want to give Sony that much of a lead though. That's the only thing. Like and if they don't want to launch the system in like January, February, that's like the worst time. So they're probably gonna have to launch this holiday. It just makes the most sense.
They might launch in April or something like that.
I would hope so.
Man,
That's what I'd prefer.
yeah, that's man. The E3 is definitely going to be exciting. That's for sure,
I'm
man.
gonna be glued to that screen all day. Oh my God. I'll have to clear my schedule, make sure nothing else is happening.
Definitely, most
Like, what are they
definitely.
going to even show at this PAX? What I'm going to PAX next month, and I'm just trying to think what the hell they're going to show. I mean, what maybe? Uh, God, I can't even think of anything. Sh- The
Yeah.
Last of Us, maybe they had it at PAX Prime, but that's like the next big blockbuster that's coming out this generation. Maybe the new God of War game, even though that is coming pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe Beyond Two Souls.
It's possible, but if it's next generation,
That one's not though. That's a PS3 game.
Yeah, that one's PS3,
okay, yeah, they'll probably have that on display then.
and the Old Man that they showed was for their PS4 game, which is awesome that they're already have begun work on technology for their next game. Without even having Beyond Two Souls out yet. That's sweet.
It's
Definitely.
probably mostly just going to be indie games for the most part. A lot of indies.
Yeah, I'm sure Destiny will be there in a big way for sure.
I don't know. I think it'll
Yeah.
be a bit early for. I don't know. That's hard because it's only a month away. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
too early for
true.
them to have that on demo and playable.
That's
Maybe,
true.
maybe, maybe they're sort of lame booths that they do where you wait in line for hours and then you go in and watch the developers play it for half an hour, something like that.
So other than the PS4 in the land of the current gaming, what have you guys been cutting loose on game wise?
Well, there was actually on the same day as the PS4 announcement, there was that Nintendo conference that for the 3DS. So they did
Mm.
announce a bunch of upcoming stuff that was cool. Did you either of you guys see it?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's like they showed. I mean, it doesn't matter for either of you, but they showed a new Tomodachi Collection game, and that game is a lot of fun. If you've never heard of it, it's like a sim world kind of thing where you create your character. It's like a bunch of Mii's, but you create a bunch of Mii's for people you know and celebrities or whoever you want to put in the game, and they kind of act out a life by themselves. So like they'll get married and have fights and you know get jobs and do things and have like worries and stuff. You have to like go throughout and talk to people, and it's pretty interesting. And they all talk and they all say things like depending on how you interact with them. So it's pretty interesting. And the new version of it is obviously like upgraded. So there's lots of more stuff to do.
Sounds like something that would never make its way over here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, the thing is like the voice technology is not possible for English. It's just because the sounds change. You know, Pete, the sounds in Japanese
Yeah,
don't
but
change.
yeah. Now that I studied, I totally understand.
So, but they also showed that those two Game Boy Color Zelda games are going to be released also in the U.S. So that's cool. Did you guys see there? Did you hear about Yokai Watch, that level 5 RPG for the 3DS?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh wait, no, maybe I'm getting confused with something else. Remind me about this game.
Okay, so you're like a little kid who can see ghosts and monsters throughout the town. So you're wandering around the town and you kind of collect a group of like good ghosts and monsters to help you fight evil ghosts and monsters throughout the town. It looks like kind of a Earthboundish kind of cute, funny kind of game, but it has like this kind of weird sliding mechanic for the battles, and the battles actually looked a lot like Phantasy Star. You know, like you can see them kind of your characters over their shoulder or whatever, while the other
Right.
characters are first person. So, and you could do a thing on the touchscreen where you could slide a wheel on the bottom, and the monsters you were using in your party would all switch It was like pretty. It was pretty cool looking.
Actually, I don't ever remember seeing that. It sounds like a game that probably won't get localized though, however.
Yeah, that's probably true. But they announced a bunch of like special edition 3DSs also.
Oh, I'm pissed about that shit. Because
Nothing.
I've been waiting for a new color in the XL for the 3DS since the originals came out. Because I just don't like the blue and the red one that they have. I want an all black or an all white. And they finally come out with a 3DS XL all black for Europe and Japan.
Yeah, those special edition ones? It's one for Super Robot Tyson UX, and it's got like the space grid. If you guys have ever played a Super
I saw
Robot
that,
Tyson
yeah.
game, like they have all the battles are on that space grid thing. It looks like space with a grid overlaid on it, and the that was pretty cool. And there's the Shin Megami Tensei 4 special edition, where it has like it's a white 3DS XL with a kind of demon decal over it.
Isn't there one for Animal Crossing as well?
Yeah, I believe so. It's not I don't think it's an XL.
Okay.
And then they showed Guild 2. Do you guys know Guild 1, where they had like the 4 different games, like by various developers, like Suda51 had a game in there.
Was that the one with like Liberation
Yeah,
Maiden?
yeah, Liberation.
Yeah, I have Liberation Maiden, which is an excellent game, and I have that the role playing one with the dice. I forget the name of it.
Well, they announced Guild 2, and it has 3 games, and they're actually all looking awesome. Like there's a kind of science fiction horror adventure. It's like an adventure in like it's a kind of like a point and click adventure kind of, but made by the same people who made the Kamai Tachi no Yoru games.
Well, in Japan, that actually gets a physical release all as a compilation, but over here they release them separately as DLC games, which is interesting.
These ones aren't getting a physical release. They're only a
Oh, really?
download, yeah. And then Keiji Inafune has a game called Mushikera Sensho, which is like a mini tanks fighting giant bugs.
I saw some screenshots for it. It looks interesting.
And the last one was a game called Kaiju ga Deru Kinyobi, which is like sea monsters come out on Friday or something. And it's cool. Like it looks like kind of 1970s Japan, where like you're this little kid and he's like walking along this kind of like countryside bridge, and then like off in the distance he sees like a giant Ultraman fighting a like a Godzilla looking sea monster.
Whoa.
It looks pretty awesome. It looked like it's apparently like some kind of like heartwarming story or something, but it looks pretty awesome.
You know, speaking of the 3DS, if they would have released that Fire Emblem system as an XL, I would have been all over that thing. You know,
I'll be
the
completely
special.
honest. I'm not a big fan of special edition consoles that come with like decals on them. I just like my solid colors and none of this branding on there and everything. Even if I was maybe if I was a hardcore Fire Emblem fan, but like I don't know, I don't like emblems and decals and stuff on my systems. I'm very picky when it comes to that stuff.
Is that all it is stickers?
Not stickers,
Uh,
but you know what I mean, like
Oh, I thought
decals. Yeah.
I thought it was like different colors and stuff too. Huh.
But it is a different color, isn't it? It's like blue, isn't it? Right?
It's blue, but it has like the Fire Emblem logo, and I think just like a whitish gray sort of
Yeah, like the
outline.
the logo on the app.
Oh, okay, you're
Right.
right. Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, for some reason I was thinking it was. It still looks pretty damn cool. I don't know. I would have definitely chose this over just a standard blue or a standard red. That's for sure. But I see where you're coming from, Pete. Like the branded like that. I see what you mean. Hey, has anybody tried the Lords of Shadow demo yet? The or Mirrors
Oh
of
shit, I
Fate?
forgot that was up. God damn.
Yeah, I want
It's out.
like the demo for the 3DS Castlevania. Is it Mirrors of Fate? Is that what it's called?
Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Yeah, I think Mirrors of Fate.
Mirror of
Something like
Fate, I
that,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that pre-ordered, and it comes with I think a skin, some type of I don't know if it's a 3DS case or I don't. I know it's for the not the XL, which is kind of pointless, but I'm a big fan of the Lords of Shadow, so I had to pre-order it. But I think the bonus that I get's pretty useless if it's for the regular size 3DS.
Have you seen any shots of the game? It's like it looks like a 2.5D Castlevania or something.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
trying to go back to that old school style, but to be honest, like I really wish it was sort of set in the same style that the DS ones were. I don't know.
Yeah, me
Like
too.
I haven't watched too much gameplay on this. Did you play the demo, Josh, or no?
I haven't yet. No, I was wondering if
I
any of you
forgot that
guys
was
had.
even released. Yeah, I don't know what to. I'm to be honest, I'm expecting the worst. So maybe that
Yeah,
way I'll be impressed.
yeah, definitely. For some reason, the Mickey Mouse game, the sequel to Castle of Illusion, I started off, kind of liking it. Yeah, I loved hearing the music, which was a throwback to the first stage in the Genesis game, and but the more I played that, the more I didn't like it, to be honest with you, man. Like I heard people complaining about the painting. To be honest, I think that Epic Mickey and Epic Mickey 2 and even this one, I think that painting mechanic is what it's just a horrible idea, man. It's not fun to do. And at first you're like, "Oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad." But as you keep playing that game and continue playing it, it just gets really annoying, man. It doesn't add anything to the game. It really
Yeah, I
doesn't.
would agree. I would agree, especially with the 3DS one. Like
It's just
when I played it at PAX and I played the demo and they front loaded it with all that painting stuff. I'm like, oh, this is pretty bad, and I just had hope that it was just sort of like for the tutorial, which in a way it was, but it does slow down the gameplay considerably later on. Sometimes in later parts of the game, they use it in interesting ways for some very light puzzles, but it's a
yeah.
shame because if they took all that stuff out, it would have been an amazing platformer instead
It
of just
really would have.
a
Yeah,
good mediocre one.
yeah, definitely. Because the game is slow as it is, man. But you add in that stuff, and I've got no problem with the slow moving platformer, But and all the cameos are pretty cool, but it's all a pretty shallow mechanic where they just go back to a room and hide and wait for you and offer up additional quests and whatnot. But overall, just kind of a disappointment, and that's kind of how I feel about Castlevania is going to be on a similar level. I don't. I hope I'm proven wrong though, because I'm really looking forward to the game.
I don't know,
But
like just based on what I've seen, it seems like they're going to focus a lot on sort of the combo system of the combat. They're essentially taking the console ones, which, well, I should say one so far. I actually really like the one on Lords of Shadow. I'm kind
yeah,
of
I was a big fan of Lords of Shadow actually. I
good.
really liked that game.
Yeah, I
yeah,
really enjoyed that too. I mean, there were some problems with it, but as a action game, I think it drug on a little bit too long. I think it was like 20-ish plus hours. I think it would have been better off as a 10 to 15-hour game, but beautiful game, fun combat, and they're kind of trying to just translate that combat system into this version, which is going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to have that sense of exploration that the DS ones had, though. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
what have you guys been playing lately? You still
Um,
playing Nino Kuni, Pete?
I haven't touched Nino Kuni in almost a month now. Because with college, I just come home and I'm so fucking tired. So I tried to get just as much time in on that game as I could before I started. I'm at the same point I was about a month ago, which is about 35 hours in. So I played the shit out of that game for the first week, and I plan on going back to it eventually if I can find a weekend where I've got nothing to do. Um,
Yeah.
but I have had other games, more portable games that have been keeping me busy. First of all, Fire Emblem Awakening. I got it later than other people because there were a lot of supply problems with that in the US. So I ordered it from Amazon, and my copy took a long time to ship. So I got it only about a week ago, and I can't tell exactly how many hours I have in there because I'm playing the game by resetting anytime my characters die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did listen to when you talked about it, Joe, where you were talking about how normal is like super easy mode,
Yeah, it was
um,
pretty easy.
which for me, I'm not. This is only my second Fire Emblem because I only played the first one on the Game Boy Advance prior to this. So I didn't want too much aggravation. So I am playing on normal, and I find it for me, I think it's just the right amount of difficulty to make the game not too frustrating. Because I am playing on classic, so if my characters die, everybody knows, they stay dead unless you reset the system. And when I first started playing, I was going to approach it as if my characters die, I'm just going to keep going and save the game and press on. So that happened in one of maybe like the fourth or the fifth battle in the game, and I lost Sully, the mounted girl with the red hair, and I saved the game. And I felt kind of bad because I overwrote my only save file because she has like a sort of a cool, I guess interaction that she can do with that archer guy. I forget his name, Virion, I think, with the silver hair when they sort of meet in the beginning of the game. And now I'm never gonna get to see where their relationship goes
He's
because I
like the
absolutely
lady. Is he like the ladies' man, Archer?
yeah. hmm
Okay.
I love the interactions in this game. Like they're so well written and interesting, and it's just so crazy. I don't know if the other Fire Emblems. No, they never had this system with this sort of pairing up. But it's just so interesting to see how all the different characters that you can pair with one another, and they have these really unique conversations that really add to making you feel attached to them. So that if you are playing hardcore and they do die, you really feel like you lost like a friend.
Yeah. See, the problem with it is that you do get attached to some characters, and then there's so many characters that you kind of lose track of who is in
I'm getting
there.
to that point.
And I mean, I talked about this. I talked about this when I like gave my review of it, but like I had by the end I had like I don't even know how many characters, more than 50, I'd say. I don't even know. I had a huge list, and like the problem with it is that by the end, like you have lots of interactions, like kind of if this character is alive, they'll have an interaction with them, and I had lots of times where like, who is this guy? I don't even remember who he is. Like, there was so much of that it kind of like weakened the effect of like being close to the characters.
I'm starting to notice that too because they're starting to pile on the characters, and I guess it eventually gets to the point where they introduce characters in such a quick fashion that unless you're using them in battle and pairing them up and advancing their sort of social skills with the other ones, you never get to see those interactions between them at all. So, like you said, when they finally do come to the point where they have a conversation, and you're like, who the hell is this guy? I'm only about on my save file itself. I'm about 6.5 hours in, but I probably have a few more hours in it than the amount of times that I've had the reset from dying characters. But other than that, I am really enjoying it. Like it's so satisfying to make it through a map with all your characters alive. I love that challenge, and I can't tell you how many times I've died like right at the end or freaking that Donnie Daniel, or I think in the Japanese version he's
He's
Doni
Donnie.
Doni Donnie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to train him up because I'm sure he gets to be quite the character.
He was a beast at the end. Like I had him from the beginning, and I used him all the time. And by the end, like he could clear the entire map by himself. He he was such a beast.
What class did you turn him to?
Um, I don't remember. I think I changed him from.
There's two paths. There's one you can turn into a hero or a archer knight, I think.
I think I changed
forget
him
the other path.
into a mercenary, and then I changed him into a hero, and then I changed him into the archer.
Yeah, because he has that. I don't know if any other characters get it. I think maybe just villagers get this, but he all of his stats have a plus 20% chance to skill up when he levels up. So if you get lucky on the rolls, he can turn into quite the stat boosted character. Now, I don't know what happens when you change classes. Like, I guess they keep all their skill points from their previous class, right?
They don't, not necessarily. So
Oh,
sometimes,
that's right. Yeah, because I remember some of them go down.
yeah,
That's
some
right.
will go down, but you keep all the points from leveling up. So if you just like kept switching classes to ones that lowered your skills and leveled it up a bunch to 20 or whatever, you could get through and have like a like pretty killer character with anybody. But Donnie was ridiculously easy to level up because he would level up almost all of his stats almost every time. So you'd get this crazy. He was like 100 points more powerful than everybody at the end when I went and fought the final battle.
Does he ever change his out, like in the cutscenes and stuff, or does he always keep that sort of pot on his head?
No, he always has the pot on his head.
It's so funny.
His sprite will change
Uh-huh.
when you change the class. His sprite actually changes, but every time his picture comes up, he's still wearing the pot on his head.
Yeah, I can see him getting more and more powerful now. Like he's starting to actually do some decent damage to the point where he's not useless. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying that game so far. I don't know how long does it take to get through the main story if you don't concentrate too much on side quests and stuff.
It's probably about 25 hours. It's pretty long. I mean,
Okay.
there are a lot of things to do, and there's kind of like false endings where you think like this is the final battle. I'm totally gonna kill the bad guy, and then it just like, okay, 2 years later, next start of the story.
It sounds like Radiant Historia. That did that a lot too at the end there.
I've also been playing a game on the PSP called Generations of Chaos: Pandora's Curse. Now, I've never played any of the other Generations games before, and this one is apparently a huge departure from the series. It sort of borrows. Apparently, if there's a Yggdra Union game. I think there was maybe a mobile game or something in Japan that never made it over to the States, where it uses a very similar battle system. I could be wrong on that. I just remember reading that somewhere.
Was that Igidra Union or Igidra Unison?
Yes, yeah, that's it. So apparently it
Okay.
uses a battle system very similar to that, with some.
I believe that's on the DS actually.
Is it okay? I knew it was
Igidra
something.
Unison. It's like a different type of. There's Igidra Union, and then there's Igidra Unison, which is like they're almost named the same, so it's hard to like differentiate them. But like, yeah, I believe that one's on the DS, or maybe it's on the Game Boy Advance. I don't really remember.
It's sort of like like an action real time where you click on your units and you give them a path to follow, and there's different terrain that'll either slow them up, make them more powerful, make them weaker, and you set their path. And if they run into an enemy, you go into battle, and there's different points in the map where you're trying to control. Essentially, it's like either kill all the enemies, take over their base, find secret villages where you can maybe get a hidden item or something. And it's a very basic game. And when you get into the battles, it's all portrait based, so it's not like it's not like going to be like Advance Wars or something where you're going to see the little armies of characters fighting for the most part. It's just going to be two character portraits, and then depending on what weapon you have equipped, you'll have to do a quick little rhythm game, similar to say like a music rhythm game in a way, where you have to just tap the button in time with the line that moves over the different button prompts on the weapon icon. It's hard to explain, but once you watch a video, you'll be like, after you watch 5 minutes, you'll be like, okay, I understand the game. And it really is that simple. All the battles, for the most part, play out the same. It's not much variety that I've seen so far, and I'm about six or so hours into the game. Outside of battle, it's all character portrait. Like, you have to have an imagination to play this game. It's just one of those where there's, no pictures to show you what the towns look like. There are no towns. It's just one battle to the next with some story intermissions in between. But I have to say, I mean, despite the story being kind of like not interesting, the writing and translation is actually done really well. It's not dubbed in English, so it's all in Japanese. And I'll have to say it's actually interesting for me now that I'm studying Japanese to see the liberties that English translators take with Japanese games, because I'll recognize some words and they'll totally just omit them from what they translate it to. Because sometimes I guess in Japanese they might get a bit obsessive with like titles, or like saying, "Oh, brother," like Oni-san, for brother, and the characters will say that all the time, but they very rarely actually will translate it as, brother or big brother. It's actually pretty interesting. But other than that, it's a good game. It's $20. It's download only. It's definitely not for everybody though. If you're looking for an RPG where you're either looking for a really good story, or even the grinding in this game, it's really interesting how they handle the leveling up and everything, because essentially you get one universal experience point, which is used for buying items, upgrading items, and leveling up your characters, and using it to heal your characters. And for the most part, you don't really use it to heal your characters, because they never really need healing at all. And leveling up your weapons is kind of boring, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it gets any better, because essentially, think of it like this. There's basic weapons. Every time you upgrade a weapon, it takes a certain amount of points, and it'll just give it a +1 and change the name. It doesn't get any different stats or anything like that I've noticed. Well, actually, I lied. They get different stat changes, but for the most part, they're very rare and very minor. So maybe later on it'll sort of expand upon more, but it's a very basic game.
It's made by Idea Factory, right?
It's made by it's a collaboration between Idea Factory and Sting, so they call themselves Super Sting.
Oh, okay.
So it is by the developers that have worked on, Knights in the Nightmare and Yggdra Union and stuff like that, and you can definitely sense their style in this game.
I'm
Would I
gonna pick it
recommend
up.
it? Yeah,
I'm gonna,
I would still recommend it if you're a fan of Sting. You kind of know what to expect. Just don't expect
definitely.
anything in depth.
Yeah, well, like the thing is, you know, I haven't played much Sting stuff, but like Idea Factory is got a pretty bad reputation in that like a lot of their games are really bad or like
I'm trying to remember,
broken.
like, remind me of some of their games because
I'm trying to think. Spectral Force isn't,
oh,
and
Yeah, Spectral Souls. Did they make Manakaima?
I
Is that?
believe Manakemia or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of any of their games. Like I know what you're
Oh,
talking
they
about.
made
There's a
the
lot of the NI.
Agarest games, I believe. Agarest.
Yeah,
Or,
oh,
yeah.
so
well, I
they
shouldn't really say but I've watched videos of those games and they just don't appeal to me.
no Idea Factory, even in Japan, has a bad reputation amongst gamers. Like the nickname for Idea Factory is Idea Fuck. It's it's like it's a kind of like a funny play on words because like if you shorten the first part of factory, it's the same as fuck in Japanese. So like they've just people refer to it as Idea Fuck because their games are pretty. They're like they're mostly like cheap moe games, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
want
looking
it for
through their
the.
list here. Nothing really stands out. Trinity Universe, which, well, I guess they kind of co-developed that, it looks like, with Gust and Nipponichi.
Yeah, that pretty much. If you see something that's developed by Idea Factory, you should probably go into it with like a bit of wariness because most of their stuff is subpar. And I mean, it's not to say that they don't have anything that's like playable, but a lot of the stuff that I've played is like unplayable or just bad.
Yeah, I looked into those RPGs on the PS3, Cross Edge and Trinity Universe, and there's one more. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Trinity Universe, Cross Edge, and shit, I can't remember. I was thinking about picking them up, and I did some. Obviously I don't take reviews as a holy grail, but everybody just had such bad things to say about those games that I just because the one was like a crossover. It was like characters from Darkstalkers, characters from the Atelier games,
I
and
think, are you thinking of maybe Chaos Wars on the PS2, maybe?
there was one. I think it's Cross Edge, dude. It's got Dimitri from
Oh, right, yeah, it is
Darkstalkers,
Cross Edge,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I was like, oh, it's awesome. But the more I read, I was like, no, this isn't awesome. They fucking butchered it, and I just stayed away. Oh, The
I
Last
remember watching a
Rebellion.
video. Yeah, I remember,
The la-
oh, that one too. Shit, that got
yeah,
such low reviews.
The Last Rebellion. I have a Myers by me, and they've had a copy of The Last Rebellion and Trinity Universe in a
Trinity
sea
Universe
of
is pretty rare, actually, right
yeah,
now.
in a sea of like all these normal, recent released games. They've got these two. The shrink wrap is like barely on them anymore. They've been in the cabinet so long, and they were like both 49.99 still. And they kind of tempt me every time I go into Myers and look at them, say, "Oh, they're still sitting there." And I almost pulled the trigger one day until I came home and started reading up on them. And not to mention, you can get them on eBay for cheaper. I'm not sure about the Trinity Universe, but the Last Rebellion is a lot cheaper, and they nothing but horrible things. And is that Idea Factory, the Last Rebellion? And I think it is the NIS, but I could be wrong. But
I don't know. It might be. I don't know if it's Idea Factory because I don't see it on their
okay.
Wikipedia, unless they published it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing
Yeah.
is that they have a pretty bad yeah, like they did the hyper dimension Neptunia games in like coordination with Nipponichi and Gust, and
Yeah.
some people like those. I mean, but yeah, not for me. I haven't.
What was the other one? The Artanelico games too. I
Oh,
tried
those
to.
aren't made by Idea Factory though.
Okay. I tried to get into one of those. I picked up the Artanelico Knoll of RCL, or I think it was, and
The story intrigued me in that game,
yeah, it
or just the
intrigued me as well.
concept.
And I tried to get into it. I put about 15 hours into it, but after that I was forcing myself to play it, and I gave up on it. I couldn't do it. I ended up getting it with a calendar because I bought it off the NIS website, and I ended up selling it for like $150 with the calendar. And
Damn.
yeah, I mean,
The,
there's people that are seeking those games. They're not for me, man. I can't get into them.
yeah. Those games are actually made by Gust.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
those I'm not a huge fan of like Gust or um obviously Idea Factory.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Their
don't think
games are
I.
very hit or miss for me. Like the only one I kind of enjoy the Atelier games, some of them on the PS3, but they
Yeah.
kind of just wear on me after a while. Like they're really charming and lighthearted and everything, but after a while, just the mechanics in those games, it's either you really, really like them, or if you think they're just okay, then you're not going to last. Like those games are just incredibly repetitive. Same thing with like the Mugen Souls game. It's just same thing over and over. So unless you're in love with certain aspects of it, you're just going to give up.
Did Gust also develop Mugen Souls? Is that?
That is developed, I think, by Nippon Ichi themselves. Let me see.
Oh no, wait, it's developed by Compile Hard.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's another one of them, aren't they? Those guys are like all under the NIS banner, aren't they? Gust, Compile Heart, Idea Factory, like all
Not in
those guys.
Japan. Not in Japan. They're not, but
No. Okay.
I think they get published by NIS in the U.S.
Okay.
But Compile Heart is hit or miss also. They actually developed they're developing called a Holy Sorcery Story on the Vita, which I'm excited for. But usually they kind of develop sketchy kind of lowly games. I guess it's like all the characters are like anime scantily dressed anime 8-year olds. Like that's kind of what I think of when I think of Compile Heart.
I did finish Dead Space 3. I finished that one. And that was Dead Space 3 is a great game, kind of to shift away from the RPGs, but I did finish that. It was a great sequel. Fans of horror games definitely check out Dead Space 3. I think it's probably the best in the series next to the first. I don't know, man. They're all so good, but I was a little worried about Dead Space 3 with the co-op and stuff, but man, that's such a brilliantly executed game that I was enthralled from beginning to end. Great game.
They did a price drop sale on that already to $40.
Wow.
See what I mean these days? Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's another thing. I picked up the Sly game. I actually got it in the mail yesterday. I haven't played it yet, but that dropped to $30, and I'm like, well, for $30 with free shipping, fucking, you get the Vita version with it. That's like, can't pass that up.
I love that game. That new Sly Cooper game is freaking a masterpiece, dude. I've been playing that. I think I'm about 6 hours into it, 7 hours into it, and it just keeps getting better and better the more you play it. I was a little worried about throwing in all the relatives of Sly. Like I thought it'd be kind of overkill, and with the hippo and everything, but it's really good. The graphics look great on the PS3 and the Vita. And his ancestors are like really fun to play as they all have their own separate set of moves. There's like a ninja, like raccoon or something, and the stealth works really awesome. You can be jumping anywhere, and if there's like a little glowing thing where you can like attach to, you just hit the circle button and it kind of like pulls your character into it, and it's a really fluid way it handles that, and the sneaking around is really cool. I'm not really like a big stealth guy at all, so I was a little worried, but I enjoyed the past slides, so I knew that the stealth wasn't gonna be a problem because it's not really stealth. It's just really smooth gameplay, and it's the kind of game they just don't really make anymore, man. I mean, even the Ratchet and Clanks, they've All for One and then Full Frontal Assault, and they're kind of branching off and trying these different gameplay styles. Where this Sly Cooper is just a straight up, like kind of like epic platformer, man. It's not trying to do different things. It's just a nice platformer, collecting stuff and getting through diverse levels and going through time and really nice variety in the stages. It's a great game. I hope it does well. It probably won't because it wasn't advertised properly at all.
If it's $30 already, it's probably not doing so well.
Well, it
No.
started as a $40 game.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad then.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a deal. I mean, $40 and you're getting the Vita version and the PS3. Already a good deal, and it's a great platformer. My hats off to that company Sanzaru. They did the HD remakes or the HD trilogy, and they impressed Sucker Punch so much that they just said, you know what, go ahead and make this new game, and it was really well done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that, but I want to finish Metal Gear Rising first because I just got that not too long ago as well, and I haven't had too much time to jump into it yet. I've played only maybe half an hour, but I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I don't know the Metal Gear universe, so I have no idea what the hell is possibly even going on.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It is as it is already, but I'm Not playing the game for the story. I'm playing it for the crazy action. And so far, I mean, not many complaints. Maybe just some problems with the camera, which I'm noticing with the first big boss encounter. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. It does take a little bit of getting used to because I haven't played it since the original demo that they put out. But it takes some getting used to. I might have to invert my controls on the blade portion where you can sort of chop up things in whatever direction you want. But once you get that down pat, the action is just so over the top. That was my favorite game from PAX Prime when I went. I mean, all the games I played there, I played the demo of that there. I mean, I was just blown away.
Yeah, I played the demo that came with Zone of the Enders HD collection, and I was blown away as well. The physics with the chopping in the different directions, I thought it was awesome. Definitely. Is that now with that being a Metal Gear game, does it? I have no like I'm not a Metal Gear guy either, and I've never really followed any of the stories. Is that I know it's like a side story, but does it tie into the other games? So if I haven't played those, I'm not
Um,
gonna know what the hell's going on.
I don't want to speak for it because I don't really know for sure, but I have heard that it does have nods to the series. So, it ties into it, but I don't think you have to know the other games at all to understand what the hell's going on. Or I don't even know if you're really
Oh,
supposed to know what the hell's going on. It seems kind of confusing.
okay. Huh, you gonna pick that one up, Joe?
Probably not.
No.
Not anytime soon, at least. I'm not like a huge Metal Gear fan. Like I don't dislike Metal Gear, but I'm not excited about Metal Gear. In all honesty, like I've had Metal Gear 4 since I got my PS3, and I still haven't played it.
Yeah.
Sounds like me. I bought that game just to shut people the fuck up, and I still haven't played it.
Yeah.
I
I
literally
couldn't.
bought it just to shut people up because they're like, you don't have Metal Gear Solid 4? So I'm like, all right, let me just buy this game and let it sit on my shelf to please these people.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I thought the camouflage suit was awesome, but once again, man, stealth gameplay. I'm just not a fan of stealth. It's I don't know if I don't have the patience or, but that's what intrigues me about the Metal Gear Rising. I like the action. The sword
Yeah,
play is awesome.
you should really try out Shadow of the Ninja on the 360.
Yeah, I keep meaning to download that. Those are
It's
it's about
actually
they did
the guys
Shank,
that did
right?
Shank. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I loved Shank 1 and 2, so
it
I've
almost
got
made my top 10 games of last year. It's actually really really well done. It's one of the best stealth games I've ever played. The mechanic is just done so well in that game, and really good animations and graphics and presentation controls. Like it just makes you feel like a badass ninja.
yeah, I've gotta get it.
So let's see. I've been playing. I finished up what's it called, Final Fantasy Tactics. I started playing that again on the PSP. Like hadn't played it in like since the original one came out on the PS1. So when I started playing it, I started playing it because after I finished Fire Emblem, I was like, man, I still want to play some kind of strategy RPG. So I'll just play Final Fantasy Tactics again. And I forgot how slow paced it is. It's like so slow comparatively, and the translation is awful. Like it's so bad. It's painful to read. Bad. It's but it I went through that, and it's much more difficult than Fire Emblem is, but it's not unbeatable. And I didn't use any like walkthroughs or anything, so I got stuck on some parts, but eventually I went through that.
The problem I have when I play those kind of games these days is I I want to look at like a FAQ or a walkthrough to see like the optimal classes and the way you should build them. And the second I find myself doing that and I see how advanced some of that stuff gets, like the recommended builds and how you should play, like it just takes the fun out of it for me and I just end up stopping. That's why Fire Emblem, I'm really trying not to look into what people suggest I do with my characters. I'm just building them the way.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
don't worry about that. Like when I played, yeah, that's the thing. Like the first time I played Final Fantasy Tactics was, there wasn't really internet or GameFAQs or anything to look at. So you just played through that stuff because unless you were going to go buy a strategy guide, which I never did, you just you can't play. So it's not even like necessary. I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, you have to use a guide. It's too difficult to play without a guide, but it's really not. I mean, I just went through it randomly and just picked classes I liked, and I had no trouble getting through the game. It's it's the kind of thing where like if you know how to play strategy RPGs, you don't you can get through with any class. You could probably pick, you know, five of the same class and get through the game with no problem.
Like you said though, it is just playing strategy games today and how fast paced some of them are. I mean, just going back to that, it is painstakingly slow, especially the battles.
Yeah. It's definitely it's a lot slower. Like comparatively between going from the new Fire Emblem on the 3DS to Final Fantasy Tactics, which was a PS1 game, like the speed is so different. Like
Yeah.
PlayStation, I mean the Final Fantasy Tactics, like a battle would take hours and it like you only have 5 characters. So it's like it's so long because like the movement is so slow and like you have to like confirm all this stuff and you have like 30 menus to go through for every character. It's like a big mess.
Hey, did you guys ever play, speaking of strategy RPGs, it was an Xbox game. I think it came out for PS2 as well, but I'm not sure. It was called Gladius.
Oh yeah, I played that.
I'm
No.
playing that right now. That's like a really enjoyable game, man, from LucasArts. I believe it is LucasArts.
I think it's also on the GameCube.
Man, that's
I
a
think
great.
That's on everything.
Yeah, I think that's a great game, man. I'm really
Yeah,
enjoying
that's a
that.
really good one.
Definitely. You're like a gladiator, and your father has died or whatever, and you take over running his like gladiator school, man. And you got to like fight your way through the top and build these teams of gladiators and win these tournaments and like keep going through these ranks of dueling, and it's freaking awesome, man. Great game.
Yeah, that's a good one. When I was making the lists of my RPG recommendations, which I still haven't continued, like that was definitely on my list of Xbox recommendations. That was a good game.
Yeah, man. I was surprised by how much I was enjoying that. Really good game.
I'm excited for this Tuesday. Finally, we get Etrian Odyssey 4. I actually played. I don't know if you've played the demo, Josh, on it, but I know Joe, you've played through that game, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the series. And I played the demo to completion, basically everything you can do in it. They actually gave you quite a bit to do. You can play through like the first stratum, at least the whole first floor, and some of the side dungeons, and you can get up to level 10. And the really cool part is all the progress you make is gonna save over to the actual game. I am noticing though that it's actually, from what I've played, pretty easy so far, surprisingly. I don't know if that's true for the rest of the game. I remember you saying in your video that it wasn't that hard for you, at least, right?
No, it wasn't. I didn't like really have the trouble with it that I had with. Have you played through the other games?
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, like when I was in playing Etrian Odyssey 2, for example, when I was going towards the end, from level 25 up, like even with my characters at the highest level I could get them to, like I was getting, it was really hard to fight even normal battles. But like in Etrian Odyssey 4, you never get up to a point where you feel like the enemies are way too hard.
Do you remember what classes you used in 4? Because that might have something to do with it too.
I don't remember. I just
Did you use a dancer? Do you remember?
I don't think I did. I think I used a mystic, and
Mystic is the one that uses. Is that like the support mage-esque healer kind of class? I think.
Yeah,
I think it has a different name, Arcanist or something over here.
yeah. I don't remember. I'm like in remembering. I'm translating the names in my head, so I might not be getting them right. I think my normal character was a regular kind of warrior.
Okay. The Landsknecht, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. I think it's just like a knight or something in the Japanese one. It's something really simple. And then I had the fortress.
Yeah, I always pick a tank class.
And that was my I had 2 characters in the front, the normal fighter and the fortress, and then I had 3 support characters in the back, like a normal kind of medic and two different types of mages. So mystic and I don't remember. There's one more type. I can't remember.
How does the 3D look in that game with the slider up?
It's not bad. It's not horrible. I think a lot of the times in that game, I thought the 3D looked pretty good. And normally I can't use the 3D that much in games because it gives me a headache. But that game actually, I had an okay time with the 3D for a little while.
Did you play the game with like the 3D slider up like all the way?
Didn't add much to me in the demo. I played with the 3D off for the most part.
Did you play with the 3D up in Fire Emblem?
I did. That the 3D in Fire Emblem was really good.
Oh yeah, the 3D in that it actually for me, it enhances that game too as well. Like even the cutscenes in that game look amazing with the 3D.
Yeah, man. The Battlefield reminded me of like a pop-up like 3D book. You know what I mean? Like I love 3D, man. I love the 3D on the 3DS, and I want to see these RPGs like using it to good effect. You know, I think it adds to the game, and so for me, I love it. I play every game with the 3D cranked all the way up.
Man, I think you're in a minority there,
I
Josh.
think
I
so,
think
man.
like
I'm starting to wane away from it. Like when I first got my 3DS, I refused to play any of my games unless the 3D was on max. But now I'm starting to get to that phase where, unless the game really adds, if 3D really adds to the game, I tend to turn it off now sometimes because it saves me battery. And I don't know, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to kind of have to look at it straight on all the time. So I do it with Fire Emblem once in a while. Like if I'm kind of like laying down and I turn it off, but if I'm like sitting up playing it, I'll turn it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for Etrian Odyssey. I've never played any games in the previous, so I mean, this will be like the starting point for me.
This one
have
is
you played many first-person RPG or I mean first-person dungeon crawlers?
To be honest, like sort of Vermilion,
Wow.
but like most recently, I really enjoyed Class of Heroes on the PSP.
Okay, if you
I thought that was
if you liked Class of Heroes, you really like
Yeah.
Etrian Odyssey because Class of Heroes is on the mediocre level for first-person dungeon crawlers. It's not that great. It's not bad, but it's not like a super good one. Whereas like Etrian Odyssey is like a really good one.
nice.
I can't
Is
speak
it?
for the story, but it's not the series has never been known for its story. If you like sort of customizing them simple just through skills,
Mhm.
and you like seeing progress like through a dungeon, and you think the idea of mapping out your own map is a cool idea. Um, for me, like if when I read a book in real life, like I love the feeling of seeing the creases in the spine and seeing my progress through the book. So to me, that's what draws me to the Etrian Odyssey series is seeing my progress through a dungeon and through leveling up my characters. That's why I like it so much.
Now, was the third one, was that like all based in water? Was that what it was? The third one
It
was that
had
the drama?
emphasis on ship exploration, but it wasn't underwater.
Okay. See, I think that one might appeal to me too, man. I'm all about
Start
RPGs
with
like
four. Start with
okay.
four, because this will be a great basis. And if you like four, then work backwards in the series and play one last. Because well, most people actually recommend that because by the time you play through the newer ones, by the time you get the one, like there's so many. Every game in the series sort of like does these little enhancements that make it work better. Just like the series as a whole, like for the most part, has stayed the same, but there's just little things that they do that sort of improve it. So by the time you work your way back to one, you'll be like, shit, there's a lot of things that are not how they work in the newer ones, and for a bad way.
Well,
Yeah.
I would suggest actually, yeah, I'd suggest start with four, and then if you like four, play three, and then you could probably skip two and one if you if you didn't really feel like going through it again. Because the problem with two is that the level cap thing is an issue. Like you have a level cap of 70, and you do in the new one also, but you can up it in different ways. But in the second one, you have a level cap of 70, and you can only up the levels by retiring your characters, and every time you retire them out, it
I hate
it goes
that
up by
shit.
one. So like you have to retire a character 39 times to get them to the max level. And you'll find that like when you get to the highest levels of the dungeon, like if you're even at level 70, it's really really hard. So you'll
The,
be
the,
like, you
you have
know,
to use very specific party combinations. That's the thing. That's the thing that sucks. Like if you
yeah,
don't plan your parties out, you get destroyed.
yep, it's pretty much like throughout the entire game, like you're not like using a guide to make a very specific party for the end of battle, then
Uh-huh.
you're gonna have to retire characters out a lot. And if you don't like the character, like a specific party, and you don't like looking stuff up all the time, like it's not exactly fun because you're gonna have to like grind so much. And that's
And
two.
it's overwhelming too when you look up people's like recommended guides on party builds. Like it's not it might seem simple, but like that's what causes me to quit the game sometimes and like just restart months later and come back to them because like you just get overwhelmed with these guides of character builds. And some of them are game breaking, like especially in 2 with the hexer. I forget if it was 2 or 1, but like there was a certain build with this Hexer character that just, or the Dark Hunter or something, that I didn't use personally because it just ruins the game. It makes all the bosses just like a cakewalk.
Yeah, if you actually in that one, like if you could poison anything, it was like pretty much dead right away.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever played a RPG for the Nintendo DS called Black Sigil?
Yeah.
What'd you guys
I was
think of that?
actually, I was actually, before they came out, I was really hyped for it because it was getting hyped up as like a Chrono Trigger kind of game in terms of the combat. And on the DS at the time, there really were no 16-bit style RPGs like that. And I finally got it. Like, it was exactly what I expected, except for one problem. The battles, oh my fucking God. Like, you get into a battle like every 3 seconds in that game, and it actually killed it for me. Because they weren't
Yeah.
fast enough, they were fairly slow paced, and they were
Uh-huh.
constant, so that killed it for me.
Uh,
It sounds like Vi.
Yeah, Vi, man. I love that game now, but I remember I had just come off of beating Lunar, and that was like the next game that came out for the Sega CD, and I begged my mom to get that for me. And when I first got it, I was just a little disappointed, man. It didn't really match up to Lunar.
There's I haven't played it, but I think it's a game you'd probably like. Kudelka.
Oh, I played that.
It just seems like something that Josh would probably like, right?
Kodelka. It's like a it's like
prequel
the
to Shadow Hearts games.
yeah, it's like the prequel to Shadow Hearts.
Okay, I liked those games a lot.
Best
The
way to
Shadow
sum it up,
Hearts.
Yeah,
think Resident Evil paired with an RPG,
I mean,
right? Because it's sort of like got that. From the videos I've watched, it has sort of like a Resident Evil-esque story and atmosphere and pre-rendered backgrounds and exploration with like finding items, with a fairly slow-paced battle system, typical of the PlayStation era RPGs.
yeah, it's not as good as the Shadow Hearts games. It's kind of like a little clunky, and but it's like you can see the kind of Shadow Hearts like coming out of this game. It's easy to see that.
Just the dark style to it. The combat they don't have anything to do with that sort of that wheel-esque combat system.
Oh yeah, that's not in there.
What do you guys think of the Wild Arms games? Wild Arms 1 and 2?
I've only played the first, which I enjoyed. That was actually my first RPG that I ever bought for myself on the PS1.
Good game.
Oh, Wild Arms is a good game. Yeah.
I've only ever played Wild Arms 1 and 4. And 4 actually I really like that. It sort of has I know the other ones in the series sort of have a similar feel to them, but 4 has this weird like futuristic Western setting. It was actually pretty cool. I never got too far into it, maybe like 10 hours, but I really enjoyed it. I've been wanting to get 5, but 5 is one of the more uncommon PS2 games to find in complete condition.
I'm like always amazed by that because like I'm thinking like Wild Arms 5, I could get that for nothing. Of course, it's in Japanese, so it doesn't really help you. But
Yeah, most RPGs in Japan are just like fuck it, so dirt cheap over there. It's everybody thinks of Chrono Trigger and stuff over here, and how it's not really rare over here, but in Japan, those things are like a dime a dozen. Final Fantasy and all that.
yeah, that's like a $5 game complete in box.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention too. Kind of got distracted on this eBay thing here. I was talking to these guys earlier, and I just wanted to let you guys know that the listeners that I've been playing Infinite Space quite a bit, and that's an excellent RPG on the DS. And that's another eBay story there. That game has been shooting up in price lately as well. To be honest with you guys, everything is going up so much in prices. Like I was checking some Super Nintendo games the other day. Just
forget Super
'cause
Nintendo
I've gotta
right
have
now.
some-
Yeah.
I've got to have
Evo,
I've gotta-
Search for Eden. Fuck it.
That's ridiculous, dude. I remember renting that game from Blockbuster every weekend when I was a kid and just evolving all those creatures, man. Never in a million years did I think to myself, hey, you know what? 20 years from now, this game's going to be, what, $400?
500 sometimes now. It's ridiculous.
Damn.
And maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because I've been hunting this game for a while, and I remember maybe 3 years ago, I thought complete copies for like 120-ish or something were expensive, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and hold off and try and get this for under 100. Man, I wish I would have bit that bullet then, because there's been a few times where I've had the chance to get a decent complete copy not too long ago for $250, but even that to me is just to spend that much on a game. Like I better know ahead of time that I'm gonna love it.
Damn, that's crazy. And that has a lot to do with eBay, I think. And like the problem with that is like when people realize something is good, and the word gets out that it's good, like that stuff goes crazy on eBay. Like the first person will sell it for 30, and then someone will see that it sold for 30, and they'll be like, I'm going to sell mine for 40, and then like it just goes up from there until you're at $500 for.
Have you guys played Elemental Gearbolt?
What system is that on?
That's that light gun shooter, right?
Yeah, it's Working Designs. It's on PlayStation. It's like an RPG light gun game.
Okay, I know I was confused. I was thinking of Elemental Gimmick Gear.
Oh, Egg for the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that one. That's another system that's going up in price. I was looking through some of my games and I pulled out Cannon Spike and I like, oh man, I like this game. Check on eBay, that game is going for $80 all day long. $90.
Yeah, it's one of the more expensive Dreamcast games. That's one of the few I really still want, but I don't feel like paying that much.
Yeah,
for
you can beat it in 15 minutes. It's
everything's going crazy, man. It's going nuts. But yeah, I want to do some PlayStation 1 collecting and get a little bit bigger of a library. I've got some pretty decent RPGs, but I really ignored the shooters. I wasn't into shoot 'em ups back then, so I'm really lacking in the shooters. And did you guys play Gun Griffin Blaze or what's the other one? The other Working Designs one. There's Elemental Gearbolt, Gun Griffin Blaze, and Vanguard Bandits. Have you guys played those?
I haven't played Vanguard Bandits. I have not played the PS1 Gun Griffin. No.
Okay.
It's one of the
Joe.
Vanguard is one of the few RPGs I don't have on that.
Yeah, Joe. No, I wanted to ask you something, bro. Liquid Kids on the Saturn.
uh-huh.
Is that still insanely priced? Have you seen any copies anywhere around there?
I think it's still like $80 to $90. It's like
Don't buy it, Josh, because there's a compilation on the PS2 that has that in there, English, like one of those
Taito collection, isn't it?
something like that. Yeah, I know it's probably cooler to own the Saturn version, but if you look in the Save Money, it's on one of the compilations.
Oh, okay.
I've
Yeah,
actually played it at one of the MAME or Ultracade machines. That's
Oh yeah, that's right. You were
arcade
telling me
places
about
out
you were.
here.
Yeah, you were telling
It's
me about
good,
that.
but I wouldn't spend too much on it. It's good, but it's not that good.
Yeah, it's an all right game. It's like a side-scrolling. Oh, what is that? Parasol Stars, where you have to pop the bubbles with the water. Is that Parasol Stars?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's a lot like that,
Yeah.
but a side-scrolling platformer.
I don't know if I told you this, Pete. I managed to snag up a copy of D2 for the Dreamcast, and that was one of the games that I bought when it came out, and I beat it, and I ended up getting rid of it back then, and I hadn't played it since. But popping that game in again, that's like a pretty. It's going for like a horror, like really eerie kind of desolate out in the wilderness snow. But that's like a really comical the way the voice acting is in these creatures you fight with the over obsessive amount of green goo that sprays out of them when you shoot them. That's a pretty good game, man. I enjoy that one.
It's strange that you bring that up because the creator died recently.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, he like this week he died, and he was like only 42. Like he died of a heart attack. It was weird.
Oh,
But,
shit.
Guess there's gonna be no sequel to that.
No,
Was there ever a D3 or anything like that? I'm not too familiar with the series.
I don't think
No.
so. I don't think there was. No, I think D2 was the last one, and that was like a total departure from the first one. I know that. Second one's kind of a third person, mixed with first person shooting, mixed with snowmobile riding. It's pretty atmospheric, and it's like a 4-disc monster of a game, man. It's huge, you know.
Is it mostly for like cutscenes and stuff?
Yeah, lots of cutscenes, lots of voice acting, and it's kind of the controls are kind of weird, but it's definitely it's got that strange vibe to it where it's a off kilter horror game, you know, and it stars the girl from D and from Enemy Zero on the Saturn. I think her name's Laura, and really I enjoy it. I'm glad I have it again for sure. They had it at this flea market, and the guy wanted $25 for it. So I offered him like 20, and he gave me some other game with it, and I pulled the trigger on it. I got also that Suzuki All-Star Racing for the Dreamcast, which is kind of weird. You're on like street bikes racing on beaches and stuff, which is different, but pretty good. 60 frames per second, so the racing's real smooth.
Thinking of PS1 games, have either ever heard of Mizerna Falls?
Oh, that sounds. Is that import only? I think I've watched videos
Yeah,
on that. Yeah,
it's like an open world detective game, kind of
yeah.
like it has the same kind of thing going on that Deadly Premonition has, where like the characters around town move on a certain time schedule, and they do the same kind of things every day.
I remember watching video and being very jealous that we never got that game. It actually looks really interesting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
For the PS1
Definitely.
at least, it's pretty impressive because there's really nothing like that over here for it.
Yeah.
That's a game. This is why you need to get imports, Josh, because then you can play Rakugaki Showtime.
Have you played that, Pete?
Yeah, that's a
Yes, I
man.
have it, and I streamed it a few weeks back, and I loved it. I love the style of that game. It took me a while to understand the controls. I mean, as simple as they are, it takes a while to understand what the hell is going on. But once I understand it, it's just like a very basic Smash Brothers type game, like a Smash Ball kind of item and stuff. It's really fun.
What do you guys think of Legend of Dragoon, the RPG for the PS1?
It's I haven't played it in honestly almost since it came out. It's been a really really long time, but I did like it when I played it back then. I never completely finished it. I think I got like 25 hours into it. I never finished it. I've been wanting to download it for my Vita, but the problem with that is it's not available on the Vita PSN store. You actually have to download it on the PS3 and then transfer it over to the Vita. But that's a problem with my PS3 because I honestly don't even have a free gigabyte of space to
Wow.
download it on there right now. It's bad.
Delete some
Yeah.
stuff, Pete.
I can't. People don't believe me when I tell them this, but I have survived with the 20 gig PS3 since it came out,
Uh,
Wow.
and I get by by always. I'm just. And one of my friends gave me a 60 gig hard drive like 2 years ago, and I'm too lazy to go through the process of swapping all that stuff out. But anytime a new game comes out that needs a gig or two of space, I have to go in and just delete games. I mean, so for the most part, I can save the save files because those take up nothing. But like all my download games, like the only thing I have in there right now is like, geez, like one game. That's it.
that's like my 360. I have like the 60 gig or whatever, but it's like always at the max. Maybe I have a 40 gig. I don't even know, but it's like really small. So like, I install all my games and like, I always have to delete games every time I get a new game because, that just with download games alone, I could probably, I mean, I've deleted a ton where like if I want to play them again, I'll have to re-download them.
See, I'm one of you know what I purchased a Halo 4 360, like the console, the limited edition console, and I'm gonna keep that as a backup. I ended up selling my Star Wars one. I don't know why, man. As soon as I saw that Halo 4 console, I was like, oh my God, this one's better looking than the Star Wars one. I gotta have this one instead. So I sold the Star Wars one. I don't know if it's a good decision or a bad decision. I still haven't decided yet. All I know is you can still, my GameStop still has like two of them, like brand new, and they're starting to drop the price on the Star Wars one. And I haven't seen the Halo one anywhere. And I really like the look of the see-through black and the silver. So I've got a backup 360, the Halo 4 console, and then I bought the Assassin's Creed 500 gig PS3, and I intended to use that as a backup, but I literally, like Pete, I had no room at all. So I transferred all my shit over to the 500 gig, and I ended up selling my Slim, which sold for like 200 and something dollars on eBay with the 120 gig hard drive. I don't know if you can't get those Slims anymore because all the Super Slims are out now. But so I'm using this 500 gig as my primary system, and I pre-ordered the Red God of War 500 gig PS3. I'm just going to leave that as a backup.
I think the 20 gig PS3 is like the originals, like what I have, are actually worth a lot of money. I haven't checked in a while, but I just remember a while ago that people were saying they were going for a lot
Yeah,
of
they
money.
are. The 20 gigs and the 60 gigs both are because I
Well,
had a
because
60
they
gig.
don't emulate, like there's something to do with when you put a PS2 game in. Later models like emulated it a different way, whereas the original like 20 gigs play them a different way that make them look better,
Yeah,
supposedly, or something.
the 20 gigs and the 60 gigs have the actual emotion engine built in to the hardware. Whereas I think the 80 gig, the little bit later on, before they dropped backwards compatibility, the 80 gigs do emulation, whereas the 20 gig and 60 gig have the actual PS2 hardware built in it, the emotion engine. So you're gonna get the optimal optimal PS2 experience playing through those.
I hate to jinx it, but I always feel like I have a ticking time bomb because all I hear is people's PS3s like yellow lighting, and I'm just scared to turn that thing on every time because it's
Shit,
just a
if you've
matter.
made it this far, dude, I mean, shit, it sounds like you're in the clear, dude. You know?
I don't know.
Except when he wants to play PS3 games and he can't play them on his PS4.
Yeah, I'm not streaming that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not streaming anything. That was another feature of the PS4 that I wasn't excited about. Streaming anything. Get out of my face with that.
They're testing the waters to see how popular that is. I mean, what are they gonna do? Bring out a second version of the PS4 that gets rid of the disk drive? That's what they're probably planning.
All right, gentlemen, we've rambled on for quite some time.
It's all right.
I guess we could let's close with anything coming up in the next couple of months that we're super looking forward to. I know we've talked about Etrian Odyssey. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to jumping into that. There's the
The new Tomb Raider.
Castlevania,
New Tomb
the
Raider.
new Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Man, there's a lot of good stuff coming out in the next couple of months.
I gotta look. I can't even remember off the top of my head.
Let's see.
For me, Injustice. For me, I'm such a huge fan of the DC fighting games. Like, I loved Mortal Kombat DC. I know I'm probably in the minority on that too, but this new Injustice just looks to be awesome. And I'm not a huge like fighting game. I love fighters, but I'm not like good at them. I don't have the time to learn the intricacies of the combat systems. But I tell you what, those interactive stages and the way the DC characters look, they've got Aquaman in there, Batman, Bane. It just looks to be awesome. Those interactive stages just look so cool, and the moves, and I've got the collector's edition pre-ordered with the statue with Wonder Woman and Batman. I'm super pumped for that.
For me, Soul Sacrifice.
Oh yeah, Soul Sacrifice.
Yeah, Soul Sacrifice.
That's out in a
Muramasa Rebirth.
week and a half, I guess. 2 weeks.
Yeah, Muramasa Rebirth. Definitely.
Tales of Hearts R is also going to be out. What else? Shin Megami Tensei 4 comes out in like 2 months. That's pretty good.
For us, probably like multiply that by 50.
For you next year.
Yeah.
For me, 2 months.
I'm looking forward to Exilia, Tales of Exilia. That's going to be freaking awesome. Is that out there already, Joe?
Well, Tales of Exilia 2 has been out for months.
Oh, God, man.
The series has always been that way,
Yeah.
though. Like,
Yeah. I love that series. I love the Tales games.
I'm kind of looking forward to Luigi's Mansion, the new one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I liked that game. That was a good GameCube game for sure. I had that in Wave Race at the launch, and I want a new Wave Race game, man. I always hear people talking about F-Zero. Man, bring on a 3D Wave Race with those, the 3D slider all the way up, some 3D waves coming at you. That would be freaking amazing.
Or make it on the Wii U and give people an actual reason to need one,
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, this game's coming for it, but
They already
There's
announced
still
the game
ways.
that's going to make me buy the Wii U, but they haven't announced when it's coming out.
But we'll have to catch back up after Etrian Odyssey 4, on Tuesday. That's Tuesday, right?
yeah, I'm just hoping I have enough time to play it. I got a lot of stuff happening this week, but I'll make some time.
Anything else? on
My
Tuesday?
save data, you can play it right now. Just download the demo. All the progress you make carries over to the retail version.
Okay. Is there anything else come out on Tuesday of note? Is that pretty much it?
That I know of.
Okay.
I can't think of anything. There's a ton of stuff coming out in Japan, but it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out like in March too, man. So I'm just trying to balance everything. I know.
March is like my all Vita month. I've got 3 games on the Vita I'm buying in March.
One question, real quick, and then I'll jump off. Has the price drop in Japan taken effect for the Vita?
It doesn't take place until next week, so next Thursday I think is the first day.
Okay. And is that thing selling any better?
No, it's been pretty flat. I think of around about 9,000 a week or so.
And just one more quick question: Do you guys think the Vita's dead, or do you think it's too late for it to come back, or what?
No, I think the PS4 will help revive it with the whole cross-platform thing, and there's games coming for it. Just
Yeah, there's a
what
lot
do
of
you
good
think?
stuff coming for it. I mean, I have a huge list of Vita games that I'm going to buy.
The Ys game looks awesome. The Celestia or whatever.
Celceta or whatever.
Yeah, that looks freaking awesome.
Soul Sacrifice, I think is if that's a hit, I think that's really going to move
That's
units.
going to be a hit in Japan at least. It's going to blow up because I put a lot of time into that demo, like 30 hours at least. Into
Well,
the
it's going to reach out to that Monster Hunter crowd, which is
Yeah,
huge.
but I want to say like, man, I played Monster Hunter and I couldn't really get into it, but man, Soul Sacrifice has something about it that's just awesome. Like I can't stop playing it, and like even though I only have the demo and there's like 3 bosses you can fight, I still like I can play those same bosses over and over and over, and it's not boring.
I can't wait for that game. I can't wait.
Once the story starts to open up and like I start to see more monsters, it's just gonna be awesome because like everything about it so far is really good. Have either of you played it?
No, well,
No.
actually, I had a chance to try it out when I was at one of the PAX Prime, but the demo was like half an hour long, and I didn't feel like waiting half an hour for the guy in front of me to finish. There was no line, just one guy in each station, and there were 2 stations, and I passed up my chance to try it.
You should have said, "Hey, listen, I'm Pete. I'm Pete Dorr. Get the hell out of the fucking get out of here, buddy."
Actually, it'll probably be at PAX East next month, so I'll try it then.
When is that out in the US? Like pretty soon, right?
April
Yeah.
30th,
Oh, is it the end of April? Damn,
pretty
man.
according to Game Facts.
Son of a bitch. That's like
Yeah,
the
it's
man.
it's out here in like a week, 2 weeks, I think.
Joe, we need to get on and do some more Silent Hill Book of
Book
Memories.
of Memories.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely, man.
Do you have that, Pete?
No, I've been wanting to pick it up, but I don't want to pay $40 for it. I tried the
Is it?
demo. I thought it was like I can't really judge it by the demo, but I wasn't like drawn in from the demo.
I don't know. It's pretty fun actually. When you play with other people, it's actually pretty fun. When you
Yeah,
Yeah,
single
it
player
is.
doesn't seem like my kind of thing, but maybe
The
multiplayer, I don't
single
know.
player it's not bad. It's just like it's it's made for multiplayer. It's kind of difficult if you're playing by yourself. Like you will get swarmed and you'll die a lot of times if you play by yourself.
Yeah, and you
The
really got to
developers
keep
of
up. You got to keep up on
sorry,
your weapons, man. You really got to, because your weapons, you'll get like special weapons for doing certain things, and they're a lot more powerful. And you really got to keep them like they'll break fast. So you got to get these wrenches, man. And if your weapons starts to get in the red, you got to use this like repair kit, man, to keep your weapons from breaking. Because once they're gone, they're gone. And
sounds like
that's
Dark
that's
Cloud.
yeah, that's kind of cool, man. And I like how that does that and
It's
the puzzle solving.
yeah.
And
The
it's
developers worked on something else prominent, right? Who do you guys remember who the developer is?
yeah,
Developer
it's
isn't it way forward?
Right, yeah,
yeah.
I'm like I knew someone like crazy worked on that that was not what they usually work on. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I'll tell you what. I've been playing Rayman Origins on the Vita, and I think that's the strongest port of that game out there, man. It looks so incredible on that screen because you can like pinch the screen and blow like move the camera in closer, and you get the lums with your fingertips, man. So if they're like floating up in the air and you can't reach them by jumping anymore, you can just tap them with your finger and collect them, and it looks so damn good on that screen. Like I picked it up on the Vita, and I've been blown away by how freaking good it looks on it. That and Wipeout, man. When I first got Wipeout, I couldn't play it for shit, and I found out why is because I thought the air brake was L, like the left trigger, and the air brake is like square.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, this whole time I've been playing it, I'm trying to like whip around these corners with the air brake, and I'm like coming to a stop. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I just sucked at it, dude. And when I found out that it was a square, man, I improved immediately, man. I started unlocking some of those the prototype Physar and the prototype, and those are the ones where when you go over the speed pads, it like raises your top speed permanently for like the whole
You're talking
lap.
about the special levels, like the colorful
Yeah,
level. Yeah,
like
those are one of my favorite things.
yeah, and the prototype like machines that you get unlocked. When you play the game, it'll say look for a hidden event, and you got to like take your back finger and run it along the trackpad in the back. And it's almost like that, you know, those cushions you can get in the stores where like you put your hand on like the nails and it pushes them up. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
those little things that have the pins, and you like put your hand in it and it makes a mold of your hand.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, like on the back of the Vita. you'll like run your finger across it, and the background will kind of like raise up where your finger's at, and you have to find like a hidden event. You have to like scan the whole freaking the white map where it has all the events, and you'll like find a hidden event, and when you find it with your finger, you tap on it, it'll open it up, and if you win that hidden event, you'll get the prototype. I don't know what they're called, hovercrafts or whatever. And like I said, man, it's fast, but once you go over the speed pads, like once you go over 5 of them, it'll like raise the top speed to an insane amount of speed, and it's awesome, dude. That's a freaking another game that's just spot on, man. Super fast, super smooth, and Wipeout Rant, yeah. Yeah, look for those prototype races, dude. You have to find them with the trackpad in the back.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get back to it someday.
Yeah, we need to. I think we raced in that a couple times, and you kicked my ass. But I guarantee now, man, I'd offer more of a challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll try it again sometime. It's been a while since I played it.
Yeah, we'll have to do it up. And then I still have the Ragnarok Odyssey. I need to freaking play that more because, like you said,
It's
you
the
know,
kind of game where you can't, like, I'm pretty far, not super far, but I'm far enough in where like lower level players just would not benefit from playing with higher level players. So it's like you gotta kind of be on the same playing field to play that together.
no, that's something we could all three play together, right? It's not just 2-player, right?
It's up to 4.
4, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe, do you have that, dude?
I I don't think my version is compatible with yours.
Oh, son of a bitch. That would be fun to all three mob up and take some quests on, man. That'd be fun.
See, that's what Soul Sacrifice should be for, because that's a 4-player online.
Oh, no shit. Well, why can't you play? Is it because yours is a Japanese system and it's all like separated, or is that?
I think because I don't have the US version has all the DLC included,
Oh,
and the Japanese version doesn't. So I think I'd have to buy all the DLC to make the versions match.
oh, okay. Or if I like sent you, what did I say I was gonna send you? We were gonna trade something.
Dead Space.
Yeah, Dead Space for fuck. I haven't gone to that Kmart yet. Yeah, we'll do that, dude. Because I'm sure I can get a copy of Ragnarok real cheap. I'll just fucking send you the American version. Will that play in your Vita? It's not region.
Oh yeah, it's not region locked.
Yeah, I want to do that, man. I know it's easy to talk about it than never fucking do it, but I want to 3 mob up in that game because I bought the collector's edition and it's gorgeous. You know, I got a nice pretty box and cool ass cards and a book, and I want to get into that game, man.
It's a fun game. I mean, I've tried Monster Hunter in the past, and I'm gonna try it again on the Wii U when it comes out. I'd actually just played the demo today, and I'm still kind of partial to that. But I don't know, Ragnarok, I had a easy enough time getting into. It's simple, it's fun, it's I don't know,
Yeah,
not too
it
complex.
is. And the combat's fun. All right, gentlemen. I know I've said it before. I gotta get off here. I gotta go to bed immediately. What do you got? Are you going to bed, Pete? Are you gonna stay up in the game at all? Or are you going to bed,
No, I'm going to bed.
Joe? It's afternoon for you.
Yeah, it's like 4:45. Gonna go back to playing some games.
All right, dude.
guys. Thanks for having me on. It was fun talking.
Good times.
All right, you guys have a good night and good evening.
Yeah, have a good day, Joe. Pete, take it easy. Sleep well.
Later.
All right,
All right, later.
see you guys.